Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of NFL Ruckus. We're here going to wrap up this wide receiver group. Uh, Obviously, not enough time in the world to go through every prospect. But Justin picked 15, so these are the last five we're going to get through. We're joined tonight by some special guests. As you guys see, all the Brady Bunch style boxes up here. Got a lot of folks on here. We'll make sure we get the introductions out done the right way. Regular co-pitch, we got we got Ray, and then from Cover 32, Jordan, Drew, and Sid. So the five players we're getting through this evening: Jalen Darden, Jalen Waddle, Kadarius Toney, Rondo Moore, and Tutu Atwell. But before we get through all of that, Ray, your rankings from last week, which was the second group of wideouts.
We'll get through it real quick because we got so many great guests in tonight. Don't want to waste any time. And, I don't even know if you guys are privy to the conversation we were having a couple of days ago. But five, Dwayne out of Western Michigan. Look, I know. The guy was jumping off of the page. The video was just so dynamic. This kid's so fast. He's so elusive. But I feel like if you're going to be a general manager, somebody's going to want to see more than 1 year of development. They're just going to want more content to be able to track you, follow you, and see how your ups and your downs work. Marshall, USC. It was something that Justin was talking about a couple of days ago where we couldn't really come to a consensus about what the drop-off was at the end of the year. We knew about the quarterback situation. We knew about the offense. But if you're a general manager and you see somebody kind of check out, you're going to want to know why. And you're going to need a really, really good reason. So for that reason, I put him in at number 4. St. Brown out of USC. He's probably the toughest guy on the list that we talked about last week. But it's just that he's literally the only one that just don't have that get up and go and that extra gear that the rest of them have. So I put him in the middle because he's going to be reliable. Everybody was so concise about the idea that third down, this guy's going to get the catch. Somebody you can believe in. He's going to be in the league 12 years. But we all agreed that the speed, it just wasn't there as far as what we were talking about with some of these receivers. Smith, Alabama, put him in at 2. Love the 46 catches. Love the Marvin Harrison comparison. I mean, you can't really go wrong here. And Elijah Moore, Ole Miss. We just found so many comparable comparisons to like AB or Cooks, and I thought that just spoke for itself. So real quick, in and out, let's go.
All right, so we're gonna get started with Justin and Justin. Y'all did this to me. It's out of my control. Jalen Darden, North Texas. So that said, I'm gonna get the clips ready, and you guys go ahead and tell us all and those watching what you guys like about the kid.
Is he kicking it to Justin or me?
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
Well, Jalen Darden, he's 5'9", 174, but he's a slot receiver, but he's quick, super twitchy. He can, unlike a lot of slot-only guys, he can win outside and inside. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands, electric stop-start ability. And like I said, the only real concern is just the size, but in the open field, he's dangerous, and that's what you really want. Like a lot of guys have that ability, especially with the NFL. When you stop your feet, if you can't get going quick, you're in trouble. And I think with him, he has the ability to run away from people. Like he doesn't have, killer speed. He's probably in mid to high 4.4s, but his quickness is what separates him. And he can win as a route runner as well. So it's not just gadget type stuff. That's pretty much it.
I think the cool thing about him is like his hands are better than his skinny frame would lead you to believe. You know what I mean? Like he can pluck the ball and snatch it out of the air. And I think sometimes I wondered like if he even had ligaments in his knees because he's the true space player and like the true guy where, you can fully commit to a tackle with this kid, and next thing you know, like he planted and he's gone the other way. But he's not very linear. Like he can really, really bend around you, and really he just makes you feel like you're trying to tackle Gumby or something. But like you said, he can really do like real receiver things. He's not a gadget guy. He's not a one-trick pony. He can win outside. He can win inside. He catches the ball well. He's not the best route runner. there's some routes that he ran against bad players where it's not that he is a bad route runner. He's just still finding out how to separate. You know what I mean? Like that's a natural thing. He's still figuring out like when to attack the blind spot or how to attack the blind spot. But for the most part, I mean, this kid does everything. I wish he was a little faster at his size. At 174, you know, like 4.3s is what you want. But I think with how elusive he is and him running in 4.4s as a pro day, that's good enough. But I think the main knock on him is going to be the competition that he played against. He didn't play anybody. Like looking at his schedule, Southern Miss, Houston Baptist, Rice, you know, Texas San Antonio, La Tech, Texas El Paso. It's not like, you know, he's not even, not that he's not Power 5. He's not even like Mountain West or anything. He's playing nobody. So that's one thing that I'll have to adjust to is probably the speed of the defense and the speed of the game. But I mean, a real dynamic space player in this kid. That's for sure.
All right, that's it. Gonna open it up to the floor. Anybody else is something they like or a concern with Mr. Darden?
Well, for me with Darden, this kid really can just stop on a dime at any point. Like the way he can make his cuts, and then when he has the ball in his hands, it is pretty. He has really quick feet. But I mean, he's like you guys were saying, he has a small frame. Not too sure what he's going to be able to do with bigger corners in the league. And like Justin was just saying, he didn't play in that much of a competitive conference or anything like that. So it wasn't like he was playing the SEC with top corners and stuff like that. So, you know, it's still left to be seen, of course, but he definitely has speed and really good feet. So.
Yeah, if I'm an NFL team, I'm drafting him to be my slot receiver. I'm not even going to mess around with him on the outside. Like I said, with that small frame, I would be concerned with him against the jam. So just to get around that, I would just put him in the slot. That's where, he saw a lot of success there. I think he'd be very dangerous there. His crosses are really, really nice. So I think if I'm an NFL team, I'm keeping him right there.
He kind of reminds me of the guy from the Dolphins, Jakeem Grant kind of style. Mm-hmm. I think I would like to see him on a team like Cleveland, a team that could use a playmaker, use some speed on that offense. Definitely something like that. But the small catch radius is probably the only knock that I really see with him. You really want a bigger catch radius in the NFL, but I think he'll do all right.
All right, right. I know you're dying to get in here. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, there's we told our buddy Joe on an earlier podcast. Me and Justin were saying he kind of reminds me of Marquise Brown coming out of OU, but he doesn't have that type of speed. But he's probably a better space player. So you kind of take lose a little bit of speed, but you gain a little bit of yards after catch. So he's tough though. You don't want to send him over the middle as a slot and get him killed either. Like that's the other hard part is if you put him in the middle of the field, you make him catch all these tough balls. 175, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna get killed in high school, let alone the NFL. So it's just tough. You wish he was bigger. You wish he was a little taller, thicker, whatever. But that's life.
Right.
Wilson, this is shocking. You hate when people concentrate this much on a receiver size as long as he's producing. What's the caveat here?
Anybody want to jump in here? We got a lot of voices. I get to relax. Go ahead. I know y'all got
Wilson specifically, every single one of you guys started off with the critique of the size first. So I know that's something that kind of ruffles his feathers. So y'all the experts. I just know my boys. I just want to know what's the difference here, Wilson.
I mean, for me, I understand the size concern. I guess the biggest thing for me is it's not the first time where he would have had to be concerned about his. It's not like it's somebody who lost weight that got to 170. It looks like somebody who 170 is probably generous. After, you know what I'm saying? That might even be just season weight. I mean, if he's comfortable, and I can't tell anybody how comfortable they are in their body. Yes, 170 is small. There's also some people at 170 who know how to protect themselves enough. I mean, and the other part is that's inevitable. You're going to get lit up. There's going to be those moments. It's just you built to get back up from it, or you not. But there's no way where you're gonna play he's not gonna take an L playing slot. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna take it.
Yeah.
It's just my whole thing is, are you embracing it? Like, are you embracing that part of it? Are you shying away from it? And that's kind of where I guess, Ray, that's what you're asking, is that's where I would differentiate. Like, if the size truly bothers me, is if it changes the way they go about their business.
Sid, are there any injury concerns?
What's that?
Sorry, you said me?
Yeah, Sid, are there any injury concerns?
With not that I. Let me see. No, I don't. I don't think so. I think
Okay.
he. I don't think he does well in traffic, catching the ball in traffic. I think that's going to be honestly his biggest concern as far as being injury prone and whatnot. But like we said, we don't really want him. If you have him on your team, you don't want him getting lit up in the middle, running across the middle like that. It's inevitable, but he's more of a scheme fit, I would say. If you want to scheme him to get the ball in his hands in a place where he could protect himself.
Right. Well, also, Brady, to go with that, what Wilson and Sid were saying. I mean, in NFL now, linebackers are 200 pounds anyway, so it's a different game. It's a different game now. So I mean, that, and also when we're talking about quickness and speed, like we're talking about elite quickness. So when we're saying quickness, okay, if you're slightly off on your quickness, that's the issue of getting hit. Like we're talking about a guy who's like, he's gone. Like that whole smoke, and you go to hit him and he's on the other side. But when you're talking about the guys, as they start to get a little older, and then we're talking about average quickness, that's when you're getting drilled. And I think we're talking about a guy who we feel like has that kind of quickness, and he's a real football player. So we're not talking about a guy who's his whole game is okay, throw him a screen and he's going to run with the ball. We're talking about a guy who can win on routes as well as do some jet sweep stuff and some screens and some crossers, but he can actually run a post and run a corner route and run different slants, different things like that. So you're not feeding him to the wolves consistently, which obviously the more you're playing around the middle of the field, you're going to get hit. But we're talking about a guy who can do a little more than that. Which I think that's where the injuries are kind of like we're avoiding the injuries to a degree.
Okay.
That's all you had, Ray, for this prospect? That's it? Yeah. All right, so final call. Anybody want to throw out a couple player comps before we move on to Jaylen Waddle?
I thought of
like a little Percy Harvin. I mean,
yeah.
It's just hard because like that quickness is elite. He has an elite trait, but he's not the specimen that like a Percy Harvin was. So it's tough to like find where you mix all that together and find like a good comp that kind of represents him the right way and doesn't undersell him, but you don't want to make him to be this like world beater when he's not going to be that, but he has a trump card for sure.
I think it plays into a little bit. There's a couple of guys that fill that same stat or attribute line, I should say, as Jaylen Darden. There's a couple of them we might even get to tonight that kind of have those same traits that he has, but I can't. There's a couple of people you could compare him to, but again, there's a few of them in that pool. So he is kind of like a Percy Harvin, just not as, I don't think, as electric and dynamic as Percy Harvin was.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What's the guy Gabriel that was on the Falcons?
Taylor Gabriel.
I'm sorry to think of guys like that, but
yeah,
he's definitely a third receiver.
I think the toughest part for him with his comp is most people his height with his build, they got the giddy up along with the quickness. What's tough for him is he got that at least that elite wiggle in space, but it's not giddy up afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the guys we're gonna get to, I think Drew mentioned like a little bit later. Those guys, they get you leaning. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Like it's 6.
Yeah.
Darden's not quite that. So it's like I guess that's the tough part for the comp, and I have a feeling he's not gonna be the only player that's kind of a struggle the comp tonight. He's gonna be the first. That might be the theme.
There we go.
Right.
The evening, honestly. But no one has anything else. We're gonna move on from Jaylen Darden to Jaylen Waddle. And for this one, we have Drew and Justin W. So Drew, you're gonna kick this one off. Talk about what you like about them, in terms of how they win, areas concern, scheme versatility, and I'll get the clip for you.
Yeah, sure. So Jaylen Waddle, of course, the year before when Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy and them boys were there, he still shined to me at that point. And even from not even from a technical, scouting standpoint, when you watch Jaylen Waddle, he has speed and quickness and good feet. Like there's no, especially when he got the ball in his hands, like he can on punt returns on, after the catch, it's like he doesn't, no good part of his game gets diluted when he has the ball. Like he's fast and quick at the same time. You don't even have enough time to react to what he's doing with the football. It's all fluid, all in one motion. None of his speed stops when he makes a move. It's still the same speed on every cut, and it's insane. I mean, you don't see him do too much, high pointing of the ball or anything like that. He's not the biggest receiver out there, but he's not one of us. He's not a smaller receiver either, but at the same time, he doesn't really need to do that because he can get open so easily. And I just think he's more electric when he has the ball in his hands. It's almost impossible. If somebody's running that fast and that quick, if, like I said, whenever he makes a move, it's not like you can stop and see what move he's making because he's going the same speed he started with. So I just think I think he's the best receiver in the draft. And I think he's gonna have immediate success in the league. And some of these other guys might take a couple years to be that, especially when you talk about like fantasy and stuff, put up numbers immediately. I think Jaylen Waddle can just get put into an offense and put up numbers. So I really like Jaylen Waddle. There's not much I don't like about him as a receiver.
Yeah, to go with what Drew said, I mean, you're talking about like this is a game changer. Like from the second he steps on the field, whether it's a kick return, a punt return, a handoff, a screen, a deep ball, a crossing route, anything. Like he's just a threat to score anytime he touches the field. And another thing Drew said that like I thought about today was just he doesn't slow down. Like normally you're teaching someone how to run an out route and you're like tap your feet. Like no matter what he's doing, like I was questioning, like is he a good route runner or a bad route runner? He always wins, but he's not slowing down. He never stops. And I mean, the only thing I would really knock, I would say, is he doesn't always catch the ball cleanly, but he's catching it. So, hey, here's what it is. So I mean, he's a dominant player. There's really no flaws. And on that team, I think defenses were as scared of him as they were Jeudy, Ruggs, and those other guys. Like they were probably happy he wasn't seeing the field the first 3 years.
Yep.
The little time he was out there, he was making big plays. From the second he got there, he was a playmaker. And I mean, I even making the video, I'm like, I forgot to put punt returns up here. Here's the punt return against LSU. I think I tweeted about a couple weeks ago this is LSU, one of the best defenses teams ever. I mean, he blew him, ran by guys, and he was 20 yards ahead of the fastest guy on the team. So, I mean, we're talking about a game changer in every way. And I think that's just, when you talk about Tyreek Hill, you talk about those type of players, he might be ahead of them only because he's coming in as a receiver, whereas Tyreek Hill was coming in as an athlete who played some running back and did other things. Waddle's already proven what he can do. Yep. And he probably can do more because he's going to get more reps. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's not even running routes in some of those. He's just running around, but he's separated. Like routes are dumb sometimes. You're like, bro, that shouldn't work, but he's gone. Like it doesn't matter.
But he's also
unreal
not
speed.
Bubbling it either, though. So it's like a sharp cut at 90 degrees. Running. Oh, another thing I thought about, like, he's a 4-4. He's an easy 4-4, and then when he tries, he's a 4-2. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you see him tuck his head and get all like weird looking, he's running a 4-2, maybe lower. But when he's hits his gas, he's another level.
Yeah. It's almost like he doesn't know how to not run that fast. Right. Like, and it's not it's not like he's overrunning his routes or anything. He's just moving that fast, and it looks like somebody's throwing a paper airplane down the. Like it just doesn't. It don't make no sense how he's moving that fast and cutting and making people miss.
He's that kid in like scrimmages when you're like playing your own team. He just like wouldn't stop. And you're like, bro, it's kind of annoying at this point. But he just like every rep. And I mean, like I heard this on another podcast too, is someone was saying like Devontae Smith can beat you with like 10 catches in the game. Jaylen Waddle beats you for 3 catches, and that's the game. That's 3 touchdowns right there. So, like, he doesn't need a lot to do a lot. It's just he's going to be that guy that comes in and just breaks the game in one play, and you're like, dude, we're down 7, and then, he gets one more touch, and that's 50 yards or a touchdown. It's just he's not gonna be easy for anybody. It doesn't matter what defense you have, he's not going to be easy to stop.
So none of you guys have a negative thing to say about this guy.
I guess
nobody.
He might body catch occasionally.
I guess my only concern with him is so like we watch him and we can see that he's a workhorse from the 20 all the way down to the red zone. My concern is in the red zone, how effective is he going to be? Like I said, he's not that big frame receiver. That speed doesn't really mean as much once you're within 10 yards. So at that point, what routes is he running? He's running this quick slant. He's running a crosser all the way to the other side of the end zone. If you get a guy, a pro DB who can keep up with them in that 10-yard space, my question would be, what does he do then? And that's kind of what I would like to see at the pro level.
He might be more of a decoy in the red zone than a real threat at that point.
Yeah.
You just gotta hope he draws you the number 1 corner, and then you're like, all right, we'll focus on everyone else instead of him.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's the point.
Okay, Drew, you're the defensive coordinator. You have the responsibility of keeping this guy in check. What would you suggest? What would you suggest to me?
For stopping Jaylen Waddle?
Yes.
Not much, brother, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess you could shade the safety over the top. I don't really know, but I mean, he could still. It's like once he gets the ball, like it doesn't matter where anybody else is sitting on the. I'm not saying he's like an unstoppable receiver. I'm just saying like once he gets the ball in his hand, he's gonna get some yak, and there's nothing you can do about it. At that point, you're like, okay, don't let him score. It's not don't let him get this first down. Just don't let him get into the end zone. That's the type of player that he's like a game-breaking, like devastating, oh my gosh, there goes Jaylen Waddle type of guy. Like you just don't want him to score. I don't know what you would do on defense. Hopefully it's just you can only focus on him and the team doesn't have any other real, offensive threats at wide receiver. But I don't know. I'm not a defensive guy as it is, so I really don't know what you would do with Jaylen.
Justin G. Justin G, give me a NFL comparison for baby Jesus. Give me an NFL comparison.
He's the Messiah, bro. No.
Walks on water and poops rainbows.
I mean, this is legit. Like you see those Tyreek Hill comps float around on Twitter or wherever sometimes. Like this is the real Tyreek Hill comp. I think if he's a special enough player to where that no one's gonna be like, well, no, it's a little like no. This is legit. This is a guy that's gonna break the game every time he touches the ball, and he's not gonna play big. He's not gonna do he's probably not gonna be a chain mover, making like tough catches away from his body and stuff like that. But at no point can you say like Jaylen Waddle's on the field and we forgot about him. Like no, he's gonna take all the attention of every defensive coordinator all year, and it's just gonna be hell playing this kid. Even if he doesn't catch a ball that day, the fact that he was out there, like he's drawing. I mean, you're going to have to sell out to stop him. You're going to have to pull what Bill Belichick did to T.Y. Hilton a few years ago when he had Luck. And he legit pulled the Madden move where he had 2 guys just all around him everywhere he went. This is that kid. This is going to be that where you can't let off.
Last question, Jay Walt. Where's he projected to go?
Well, it's like you said, it's all fit with the other 2 receivers with Chase and Smith. So I mean, it all goes into what each team like. I think his best fit might be Miami. But, I mean, it all depends on just because he's more of a game breaker where he gets open fast. And I think with certain teams, like we talked about with Chase, it takes a little longer to get open because he's more of a contested catch guy. And then Smith is more of an outside guy where Waddle can win inside and outside, which I think that's what separates him is he can make big plays no matter where you put him. And, I mean, just the fact that he's angle eraser. You know what I mean? As a defender, you take the right angle or you think you took the right angle. And you still missed him. It's just a lot of shrugging and finger pointing. So I think he's just a special player, man. Again, like you guys were saying earlier, you don't see as many fades. Like you're not getting the fades. That's probably your only thing is you're not seeing as much of that one-on-one jump ball thing. But when a guy runs a 4.2, the defense plays you a little bit differently than they're playing a jump ball guy. So I think that's where, teams will have to, and of course you can always go to Dallas, who runs the same 3 routes, and it might not be as successful, but always put that in. I apologize. My comp, man, was none of you guys will know him except for Wilson and Ray, but I saw someone compare him to Rocket, and I was like, I like that. In college, Rocket was amazing for you guys.
I can kind of see it. I think the cop I went with, like Justin G said, I'm not gonna argue anybody down because like the person that jumps in everybody's right now is Ty. It's Ty because he's in the league right now. So me, it's like I think he has a chance, and I don't want to say it too early because we don't know what's gonna happen once he gets to the next level. But it's like I think it's like D-Jax plus, right? Like I don't think he's as physical as Ty, and that's the only reason why I'm like so hesitant to put people near Ty because that's a big dog. Like that's little dude's not supposed to play up top like that. That's the only reason I hesitate to put people near Ty because that's what makes Ty different than all them other little dudes. Is you forget he's 5-0 when you throw a jump ball and he won a lot on a regular basis. So that's the only reason I wouldn't go with Ty. And then like I guess my limited area concern is like you guys said, him moving at 1 speed. And Drew, I think and that kind of helped trigger it for me. Love that you brought that up. Was it's him just moving at 1 speed, so you can't really appreciate the route. It's someone just kind of like compared to sometimes like in basketball, people talk about guards only play at 1 speed, and they kind of take the next step when they kind of learn how to play at 3 speeds. He's the type of dude where somebody just got to slow him down in his routes. When somebody slow him down a little bit, it's a wrap. Because like you guys said, when he cuts a certain way, it's impossible for you to mirror that. It's over.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like when he gets a little bit more savvy, somebody hit him a little bit. He won't even have to get to the top of his route to be out of there. Because it's done. Once he gets you, we're done playing. Thank you. It's great. See you later. So I guess that's the only thing is I think NFL DBs, well, the good ones, will have an opportunity early on to kind of redirect him as long as he's in his route. But if you take one false step, it's irrelevant. So, that's on you.
That's true. Yeah. It's on you.
Like that, I can't help you after that. Like, if you try to anticipate where his left foot's going out that break, that's between you and your DC, sir. I wish you both the best. This is going to be a fun one. Jordan, you're leading this one off. Mr. Kadarius Toney. You want to talk about somebody who's kind of polarizing for some folks. Some people think he's a god. Some people think he's Kadarius Toney. Some people are like he's a guy that played with Kyle Pitts. So I'm interested to see what you guys fall in here. I'll get the clip for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle with him. I like him a lot. To me, he plays like a big receiver with a 5'11", 193 frame. It's not big, but he plays big with short guy feet, so to speak. So I like that about him. He has a high motor. He doesn't give up on the play. He has some good moves in open field. One thing that really hopped off to me was like he's tough to tackle. In some of these clips here, you'll see like you think he's wrapped up, and there he goes breaking it for another 20 yards. He's a physical dude. Like I said, he plays big. He high points the ball really well. He gets to the ball. I guess my concern would be with him is I haven't seen a ton of him catching in traffic. Somebody who plays big like that, you would want to see him be able to go over the middle and make some big boy plays. I haven't seen a ton of it. So at the pro level, you definitely have to do that because even though, like Justin said, the linebackers are a little bit smaller these days, they'll still light you up. So you might as well catch the ball. A lot of the coverages you see in these clips against him, they're playing off. So I would like to see him versus an NFL jam. I'd like to think that he can be a big physical guy within those 5 yards too. But he plays big, but then sometimes he plays small. So that's why I say like sometimes I'm in the middle with him because it's almost like he has an identity crisis. So he doesn't have a big catalog of routes, but the ones that he does run well, the ones that he run, he runs well. So with all that being said, I kind of see like a baby Metcalf out of him. Not as physical as Metcalf, but he kind of plays like what Metcalf did when he first came into the league. That's probably my closest comp.
All right, Justin G, you're in this with Jordan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he ran like 2 routes. It was tough to get a feel on what this kid did, and I mean, he's a basketball player on the football field. He likes to be ISO'd up. He likes to have those option routes over the middle of the field, and cross dudes over and get all slimy with his movement stuff. Like where you're just like, where's his upper body? His lower body's over here, but he also he gets billed as this fast kid. He's not fast. I think he was faster without the ball than with the ball. Like sometimes in his routes, I'm like, oh, I saw some 4-4 stuff there, and he's beating people deep. But then he gets the ball and his feet look heavy, and he just kind of looks like he's not sinking his hips and moving. It felt. I like that. He said there's an identity crisis. I can't figure out what he is. I think he's a guy that you're going to put in the slot, and he's going to be productive, but you kind of have to scheme him touches for a little bit until you can kind of feel him out to see if he feels the middle of the field as well as he should. Because, like you said, he doesn't make a lot of big boy plays, and he's got a decent sized frame. He's just not a traffic receiver yet. He's not someone I'd say is a well-rounded receiver yet either. But he's a playmaker. You can't argue that. He's a playmaker. He likes the ball in his hands. He likes space, but I struggle with his fit. That's my thing. I struggle where I'm going to put him on my team if I was running.
All right, we're opening this up to the room. Yeah, the room's thoughts on Kadarius Toney.
I agree. I would struggle.
Go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I would struggle a little bit with where I would put him in my receiver core. His hands are decent, and like Justin G was saying, like he catches the ball and then he is kind of like, all right, well, I caught the ball. That's what I'm out here to do. It doesn't really matter what I do from here because I caught the ball. Like he's like a kind of like that basketball player type of receiver. Like, all right, I'm going to get open. Ooh, got him. I crossed him up. Now that I have the ball, whatever happens, happens. So I see a little bit of that from him. He's definitely shifty. I'll give that to him. But, just when it comes to core things that you're looking out of a receiver, I don't see too many of those out of him. He's definitely an athlete, definitely can, progress in the league depending on what situation he goes to. But nothing he really does when it comes to either, route running, high pointing the ball, hands, nothing really. I don't look at him as great at any one of those. So it's just kind of, he's a good receiver. I just don't know where he would fit on my team if I was a GM or anything.
Yeah, not to jump in with that, man. You guys said that well. Like I think he's like shifty, unnecessarily shifty. Like just making moves like I got him. And you're like, all right, but you can run now. I just in my notes I put king of the dead leg. Like he just constantly has to use a dead leg. We were talking about the other night where like his move is that crossover. So he's just determined to get you with a crossover. No matter, that's the only move he has, but he's gonna get you with that crossover because that's what it is. So as his route running, it's the crossover. With the ball in his hands, it's the crossover. So it's just that's his whole game. And I think like the thing Jordan said that was kind of cool was the identity crisis. And we gotta put that in our notes somewhere. Yeah. The reality is, it's like, when you're on certain spots, the way he's running, that's working now. But projecting that forward, like we talked about earlier, when you keep stopping, you better be another type of athlete to start up again. And I don't think he has that. Like we talked about with Darden, where his stop-start is different. I don't think Tony's stop-start is the same. And I think he's able to kind of walk through some tackles where against some DBs that don't really want to tackle in college. And I don't think that works the same way in the pros. And that's my concern with him is, like you guys said, is what is his actual role? And if you watch, Florida did a lot of 5 wide. So he was the third man inside. So who's he going against? The middle linebacker was playing. And another thing you guys said was, I didn't see reps. I'm impressed. It's because there ain't none. So, he's playing against running with a free release at a linebacker sitting 7 yards off, who's a run stuffer. yeah, you're gonna win. And his main route is an option. He runs the same little option option route. It's like a setup for a highlight. Like the defender's sitting there on his heels, praying, like, I don't want to cover this guy. And he's putting these little basketball moves on the guy. Like, you can't lose. Now, if the NFL, how many NFL teams are sitting in a 5 wide? The fact that Pitts was out wider than he was should kind of say something to us when that was a tight end. You know what I mean? And again, I think, honestly, it's the stuff I like about him more is his balance with the ball, through contact. I'm saying as a runner, so it's good balance. And he kind of tracks the ball well. But you got to get open to track the ball. You got to run a route to track the ball. But you don't do that on option routes. So I think that's just – I think he's a tough comp. But I think it's going to take him some time to become a player because there is talent. So I just think there's going to be time of figuring out who you are because a lot of times if you'd rather have a slot guy who knows like, all I run is out routes, all I run is this route. But when someone thinks there's something else, the adjustment's a little different.
Right. I just don't think he keeps DCs up at night. I don't think there's one thing that someone's going to look at and be like, oh, we got to stop that. Like, I don't know. I'm not seeing it.
That's it for Kadarius, Ray? You want to jump in?
No, I had a bunch of questions as you guys were talking, actually. But then I was trying to figure out who y'all was talking to because you're a bunch of lying liars. You don't like him. You don't like him.
Oh, boy.
You see how happy we were? The last 15 minutes, like y'all was bouncing off of each other. You were literally trying to find something about this kid. You're a bunch of lying liars. Everybody in this box.
Hey,
I'm glad his mic isn't that great.
Hold on. For the record, I never responded. I didn't lie. I admitted myself.
Because he keeps to the side.
I know I wasn't going to say anything nice, so I didn't say anything at all.
I had questions, and then I decided no, because you're all lying. You don't like them.
Now you know what it was. For me, I see a little. I see a little Florida receiver. I see a little Florida receiver with a number 1. A single-digit jersey, and I immediately think Percy Harvin, and he is not Percy Harvin. For me, it was disappointing to watch. So I'm just like, okay, he can do this, he can do that, but nah.
Sis,
yes, sir.
Look how happy he is to be honest. He is to be honest. This wasn't my fault. This was your fault. Look at him. That's a happy man right there.
He's all right.
All right, Wilson. What do you got, Wilson? What do you got on Tony?
I mean, I'm not gonna rip the kid. I've never really liked him that much, and it's not because of him. I think it's because, like, I want to say Jordan. What Jordan said, like the identity crisis, like it's the reason why I didn't really like him. Because what people do with folks like that is you get excited about, and I'm not saying you, Jordan, but it's a lot of people saying like you try to project him to what he could be, and you think about other people, and So, like, he's quick, right? But not quick enough. Mm-hmm. He's fast, but not fast enough. He's also so indecisive, so inconsistent. And that's why I when people bring him up, I try to just mind my business because I think it's unfair to him. And the other thing is I feel like he might have messed up by going there because they did not take any time to help this kid figure out what the heck he's going to be in the next level. Because I've seen some people, and again, not y'all, I've seen some people like, oh man, he could be Debo. Like, y'all off one. You lost something, something's wrong. Like, again, like we were just talking about Darden. At least with Darden, we know that stop-start is different. We just know he doesn't got enough horsepower to house it, right? But I'm going to get 15 yards off some yak. This kid, no disrespect, some of the linebackers he's going to see, they more athletic than you, bro. Where are you going? Like, this ain't college where, everyone's like, oh, my God, well, we don't know what to do with Kyle Pitts, so you do what you want. NFL, they're going to have somebody to deal with him or a couple folks, and then they're going to look past you. Like, I forgot who it was that said earlier, like, ain't no DC, like, oh, man, you skipping over him. And again, I'm not mad at him. It's just he's really lucky that the NFL's in the place that they're at right now, because I think, like, in a different NFL, man, we're not even talking about this cat. Because the stuff that you need to do at his size, he doesn't do any of it. Like you said, I would love if you're physical. Let's see you be a big dog. Drops.
Yeah.
You know, and again, not being mean, just being honest, and that's why I don't talk about him that much. And after this, I'm gonna leave him alone. Like I'm not gonna mention his name again. And then like even with the yak thing, right? Like for you to be as big as you are, like you say with the crossover thing, is a basketball player with one move. If like dudes that are like yak dudes, it ain't just one move. It's a drop step and you out of there. And then the other thing is like you guys said, sometimes he'll catch the ball and he doesn't know what to do. Like you slow down after you catch it. He doesn't have an innate feel yet. Like it literally feels like he's a basketball player, found out he was good enough to play football, and that's cool. And now we're here now, and nobody at Florida helped him figure out what the heck he's going to do in the NFL. So like if it's me, I'm not going to be shocked if he drops. If somebody take him high, I wish you the best with your job because you messed up. Or unless you got an offense and you got an extra pick, you got time. Like I just pray that whoever drafts him has a legit plan for the kid. Figure out what to do with him, like molds him, grow him, like start him off on special teams or something and teach him how to play wide receiver. But like of all the slot guys, like he's the most ill-prepared to me to actually do the job you want to ask of your slot guys because it's like he's just a moldable ball of clay and the clay is not even super exciting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you said, yeah, like there's not that one thing, but like at least he's quick as hell. Jayden Darden, quick as hell. Waddle, I move the same speed in all directions. However you want me to joystick it, I do that 500 miles an hour. And that's the tough part, the inconsistency with the catches and all the other stuff. Like even in Florida, if he has the matchup like that, y'all should have been using that. So instead, the kid's still what he is, and we're here. Like I said, that's why I don't mess with him too much. And it's not his fault. It's like I don't feel like he's really set up yet to go do anything in the NFL because no disrespect, a lot of dudes that you're doing the ghost motions, you want him to do it, they're way better in space. They're way better with contact. There's a reason those dudes do that. You don't send anybody. You don't just send anybody in ghost motion. You don't just throw the bubble to anybody. Like they gotta move different, and he don't move different enough. For me, I'd rather throw that to Darden. We're like, yeah, he might not house it, but 3 of y'all ain't taking him down. He's getting at least 2 of y'all. Somebody in the phone booth, he's gonna keep his feet. This dude in the phone booth,
right?
The linebacker winning 10 times out of 10 because he's like you said, identity crisis, and he's so indecisive with his steps. Like, but again, I don't want to keep bashing the kid because somebody gonna get mad. It's at Willie T Speaks. Have at it. I don't really respond. I wish you the best with that as well. We're gonna move on to Rondo Moore. Sid, this is all you. Start us off with what you like about Rondo Moore, and I'll get the clips for you, sir.
Rondell, he's actually one of my favorite receivers coming out this draft. He's like a Swiss Army knife. I would probably describe him. He can do a little bit of everything. He's extremely quick. He's not the biggest guy, but the thing I like about him, he doesn't play like he's not the biggest guy. He's a dog. He's like above average in strength at his size. I think he's about 5'9", 170, 175 pounds. But he kind of reminds me of one of my favorite slot receivers in the NFL, which is like a Tyler Locket. Like he has like amazing playmaking ability. He could get open. He'll make the over the shoulder grabs, the difficult catches. He's a playmaker. Biggest concern probably is probably the lack of tape. I mean, he had a great freshman year, but hasn't played a full season since. I know he has a lingering hamstring injury, which is a wide receiver's worst nightmare. So there's definitely some injury concerns with him, but I feel like a healthy Rondo Moore is an immediate impact on a football team. You can use him in the return game. He's fit. I think my favorite part about him is just his physicality. Like he's physical. He's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to block. And that's what you would want out of your slot receiver. But yeah, if other than the injuries and the lack of tape, I mean, I feel like he's a steal.
Justin W.
All right. Actually, a lot of stuff Sid said is actually like stuff I actually agree with. It's like the guy's a legit game breaker. But like my biggest question with him is just how are you going to use him? I think that's the biggest concern is as I think he ended up measuring in at like 5'7", and I think as a slot receiver, like we talk about slot guys, and it's in college you can be a slot guy and you can run specific routes, but in the pros, the slot guys do different things. Like you're not just uncovered in the NFL. Like a lot of these slot guys, like we talked about with all the other ones. You get a lot of quarters coverage. You got a safety playing 15 yards off. You get a head of steam, you can run by him, or you get a little quick jet sweeps and stop routes and that type of thing. And I mean, the thing about this kid is he's physical. He's a beast with the ball in his hands, but it's just figuring out how you're going to get the ball in his hands. And that's going to be the concern is where you end up is how where's the value for the touches you're going to give him? Is it screens? Is it sweeps? Is it I just figuring out you want to get him the ball downfield, but how? And I still me and Gamble talked about this earlier. We're just going back and forth on how do I value this player, knowing he's as good as anyone. Like if you watch this tape, you're looking at a player that can do everything on the football field, but it's just what am I doing with him? What is my go-to? What's his trump card?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to his physicality, his athletic ability I heard he squats 600 pounds. Like he's insane athlete for his size, 40-inch vertical, 4'3", 4'2". Like so, as an athlete and whatever you want to call it, if it was a strongman competition, he'd probably win. But it's just figuring out how do I maximize this player because he's an inside player with outside skills, but he's too small to play outside. But he's not polished enough at receiver. But can you put him in the backfield and hand him the ball? So and the thing is, he's going to probably have 5 highlight plays this year that are going to be amazing. And you're going to be like, oh, this kid's killing it. And then you're going to look and say, hey, but he caught 25 passes. So it's like you're figuring out. It's going to take a creative offensive coordinator to maximize his talents because he does have talent. So he can help you, but it's just you always got to know how you're using him. It's not like, hey, go in the slot and we can run our playbook. It's like, hey, let's give him a handoff. Hey, let's throw him a jet sweep. Let's throw him a bubble. So I think that's what's going to make it tough for him, in my opinion.
I think if there is someone in this draft class that, sorry.
No, you're good.
I think if there is someone in this draft class that you could compare to Harvin, or at least like the style, this is probably him. Like taking reps from the backfield, the jets, the motions. He doesn't have a lot of tape of him actually running downfield and running real receiver things and being an actual vertical threat. Like despite all that speed, I can't say with confidence he's a vertical threat yet. And that's tough because if you draft him to your team, someone with that kind of speed and that kind of athleticism, you're like, I want him to stretch the field, right? Well, we haven't seen that yet. A lot of his damage is behind the line of scrimmage or really close to it, and then he's just doing his thing after. So that's difficult. It's not just because you're fast doesn't mean you're a vertical threat. So he's going to come in. You have to teach him that. And on top of that, he's 5'7". It's hard to throw a ball to a 5'7" kid. Like, I don't care. I don't care if that's offensive. You're 5'7", bro. You're little. I don't know how to get you the ball. Like, it's just there's a lot of like things that are going to make his transition to the NFL an uphill battle. Granted, he has that elite athleticism to back him up, but I mean, dang, being that little and not really running routes yet, this is the NFL. It's not the Big Ten anymore. So I think he can be a great player, like everyone said, but I don't know how high I draft him, and I don't know where I'm using him consistently is my thing.
Right? You want to get in here?
Is it hamstrings consistently, or is it does he get hurt a lot?
He gets hurt a lot. I mean, the hamstring is probably the most consistent and lingering, but like I said, he hasn't played a full season since freshman year, so that's a big issue. And I think he played 3 games in 2020. So there's just not a lot. There's just not enough tape on him.
I think it's more that he's tightly, like, I don't even know if it's so much injuries from getting tackled. I just think when you're that tightly wound, it's more like think about how you hurt your hamstring. It's not because someone doesn't tackle your hamstring. But he's such an explosive athlete. He's tightly wound that you're going to have these little nagging injuries all the time.
And do you feel like his physical play adds to that? Like he just refuses to go down, doesn't know when to go down type thing? Doesn't know when to go out of bounds when he should?
I think so. Yeah, that's like me and Justin actually talked earlier. Like, would you play him at running back? You know, like we went back and forth on like figuring out the best way to maximize his talent is, you know, do you give him handoffs? Like, what is his game? I mean, but obviously that doesn't help being that physical of a player.
I think that's what he's going to turn into in the NFL eventually, like throughout his career. I don't think he's going to ever be that, even a consistent third option at wide receiver. I think he's just going to be able to plug in wherever he can in somebody's offense to some capacity, but just not ever really having a definitive position that he plays. Just because, like, he kind of reminds me of Doug Martin from the Bucks. When he had that like 2-year stint and when he was running all over people, they called him the muscle hamster. He's just like a really compact little dude, and he's short and can run and do whatever. But he tries to fight through everything. But 5'7" with 1.5 hamstrings, I don't know how that's gonna hold up.
Right.
So we're driving him. He's just a slot receiver. Like can we get him in on special teams? Can he be a returner year 1 or 2?
Yeah, I personally think his ceiling is a gadget player. You know, I think he'll be like a Danny Woodhead, you know, somebody that can take snaps behind the line of scrimmage, can make some work happen in the slot. But going along with Justin Walters was saying is like he's a guy that you have to make it happen for him. You know, you have to scheme for him open. And a lot of guys a lot of organizations aren't looking to spend a ton of draft capital on a guy that they got to make him work in their scheme. So it's kind of unfortunate. The dude's a baller. Just, you know, he's one of those guys that, like us, that suffer from short man syndrome. I could be so much more about 6 feet tall.
Justin G, what round do you feel comfortable drafting him in?
I mean, like Drew said, I don't think he can be a top 3 option on your team. I think he's at the best an elite gadget player. And I don't think I touch that till like round 4. Like I don't think I do. I think because all the things you're going to ask him to do in other spots, I just draft somebody that already does that. You know what I mean? Like I'll draft Elijah Moore. I'll draft Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I'll lose a little athleticism and speed just because they're so much better with all the little nuances. Where he's clueless kind of at some of these things, and he's so small that it's just not going to be something he consistently does. Like round 4, I'll take that risk on those hamstrings and that athleticism. I'll take that risk, but not before day 3.
Like I do think he'll make a career for himself. Like he'll be, like I was saying, a consistent part of somebody's offense. It's just not going to be, you know, what a team is going to draft him for, because he's going to go, like somebody's going to draft him thinking like, yeah, he's going to be a ground-breaking receiver. I think just off of where it looks like in these mock drafts and stuff. But you know, he's gonna be a intricate part in somebody's offense. It's just not gonna be a 2 or 3 every Sunday type of wide receiver. He's gonna get in there when he can and, you know, make some plays, make some big athletic plays and stuff like that. But I don't think he's anybody you're gonna bank on, you know, going to on third down, you know, tossing a long ball to, nothing like that. But he's definitely an athlete though.
I asked Ruckus earlier. I asked him, I said, like, if he goes to a team and he's your top playmaker, so that means the defense is now going to, you know, like the focus is on him. Does he still win if the focus is on him? Because the best NFL players get planned for. They get schemed for. Like DCs are going out there saying, we got to stop this guy, and they're still producing. How is this kid going to do that? How's he still going to win? I think he needs to be basically the forgotten guy to produce, which sucks, but that's just how it goes. You know, when you're 5'7", that's what else can you say about him? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or 5'7" with average hands also.
Average hand, yeah.
It doesn't.
Right.
But like
so basically, we hate
last
it.
week, I think the Tyreek Hill thing is gonna get him drafted higher. Like that's what reality of the situation is. The search for the next Tyreek Hill is gonna get 3 to 5 of these guys drafted earlier than they should be, and then the Tavon Austin effect will keep them in the league. So, you know what I mean? And that's the idea. I'm going to fix them. As long as that 4-2, 4-3 hangs around. But I think the problem when you draft these guys is by the end of camp, you know you messed up. You know, because they don't make it to week 1 as starters. It's just in camp, you're like, oh, no.
That's true.
Yeah, I think he's somebody where he could be lucky if ends up in the right spot. And like again, lucky. That Dante Hall type of career. Make your bones on special teams, man, right? If you're lucky enough, bring you in every once in a while, get the gadget off, find a matchup you like, utilize you this week, and go right back to special teams, brother. That's where I'm not trying to be mean, but like that's where your money's at. And if you end up fortunately enough, because this NFL's different than the one Dante Hall came into, if you end up fortunately enough with one of these bright playmakers, they might be able to do something with you. But again, like Justin G said, bro, I ain't thinking about you before the fourth round. Like and only with an extra fourth round. I'm not using my first fourth round because why am I using picking? If you can only be a kick returner plus, bro, some teams got like I could just in a pinch, if you my kick returner, and I would consider taking you out and telling my number one wideout to go return the punt in an important situation. What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? So that's me. I don't wish bad on it, but it's like that's the thing, and it's gonna happen across sports next couple of years where people are coming out and there's not exactly known places for them, and they're not all the way ready. And yeah, like you guys said, someone's about to lose jobs trying to find the next Tyreek Hill. Let it go. Let it go, man. About to lose big. Like real big. Just don't do it. You guys have anything else, or you want to get to the last one of the night, which is Tutu Atwell?
Okay.
Tutu.
All right.
Boy.
Get to Mr. Chitarius Tutu Atwell. All right. Get the clip. I believe this is Justin and Justin. Great way to end the night. How about that?
Oh, this is? Right.
Yeah, it's you guys. Here you go.
This is gonna be tough. I've seen people talk about him in the first round. I've seen people talk about him undraftable and like late day 3. The thing about him is like when you put on the tape, it doesn't matter what game you put on or what tape. He's definitely the fastest kid on the field. I mean, he's a little freak, and I don't think they didn't run a lot of routes with him. It was all takeoff stuff, vertical stuff. They utilized his speed the right way. I'll say that in college they utilized his speed the right way, but he's 155 pounds. He looks small on tape. His hands aren't strong. His hands aren't great. They're not big. He's the guy that you literally have to drop it in the bucket for him. You need him to go vertical, and then he can run under it. He's not going to make tough catches ever. You don't want him to get hit ever. I mean, it's really. I like that's the thing. You see this dynamic athlete on tape, but you struggle thinking like, how am I going to use this kid in the NFL? And I think he's a lot like Rondo Moore. He might end up being like your gadget fourth player that's really, really fast, but you're not going to do anything consistently with him. You're not going to put him in your game plan every week. He's just that guy that you see an opening for mid-game and you're like, all right, let's call this play and put him here. This is what we were looking for. But I can't figure out how you'd ever use him consistently. I don't see how you draft him before like late day 3 weighing 155 pounds being 5'8" or whatever. So, I think I like Rondo Moore a lot more than I like this kid just because he's too small. He's just straight up too small.
Yeah.
Yeah. The top of my notes I have lack of size, strength, plays small, inconsistent hands. Like that usually doesn't get you on the roster. But I think the 4.2 speed and he looks like a little kid out there, and it's not like confident. A lot of the stuff you see him doing is like, again, like we talked about, playing in the slot, you got no one in your face, so it's a free release. And as a safety, you got someone that fast coming at you, it's an automatic loss. And again, he's not a consistent catcher of the football. So how are you like allowing these, like getting these big plays to happen when he's really not good? You don't really see a lot of these plays where he's juking through traffic or anything. So it's really just trying to get him.
It's not really elusive.
Really in space. Like you're really just trying to actually get him in space with no one there where he can just run, which you can do that with a lot of people. So I just think the ride, like hearing his name so high has been crazy to me. And then you watch him, I guess if you watch the right clips, you can convince yourself of just about anything. But it's just, again, like this, looks like he has small hands, and anytime he's touched, the ball pops out. It's just, It's hard to rely on him. Like you don't have a place to play him, and you really can't even plan on these big plays because at least with guys like Moore and Tony, they can bounce off of hits. You know, with him, each hit could be an injury, a fumble, a stretcher. I mean, you just don't really know. So I just wouldn't. He's just a tough player to rely on.
Yeah, I'm all set with him, bro.
Yeah, I'm good.
I ain't even
gonna like. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I'm nervous every time he goes across the middle.
Like he just, I don't know, bro. Like you guys hit it on the money. Like he's small. Like ain't nobody gonna be scared of somebody named Tutu lining up. Like it's just not. He's just not. That's not. He's very. Yeah, you could call him a gadget player, but he looks like somebody's little cousin running out on the field. Like what are we doing? Like I don't know. I don't see him having great success at any point in any offense. He's great for that Louisville team and great for college and explosion play, but there's too many things that you have to do as an offense to get him the ball that I don't know. I don't know why he's so high on mock draft boards right now, but I get he got good like, stats. I'm getting to him, but
he's like Dre Archer. Remember Dre Archer a few years ago?
Yeah.
Little baby. Yeah, he didn't last. He didn't last at all. Yeah.
Nah.
He didn't go anywhere. I mean, he was fast.
Yeah, he'll be in the XFL in a couple of years, bro.
In the fan league.
To get a paycheck. No, it's tough. It's tough to see the first round hype or even like second round hype on this kid and be like, what am I missing? But like you see it, you see it. Like you like that movie where the baseball kid has a strong arm, and so he goes to like the MLB, and there's like that's what. But in football, it's a physical sport, so I don't know how you put him on an NFL team and say like this guy will win or he'll succeed. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's literally just fast.
Only fast.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the thing about scouting usually is when you watch a player, it's like, okay, well, I see a reason he can have success and you see a reason he could fail, but usually I can see your side. Like this isn't like one of those guys. Like that's what makes it so weird is I just can't see it. And you want it like, okay, well, he's a first round pick, so let me go rewatch and see why. And you make it to about 10 plays and you're like, I don't even need to watch this anymore. Because there's nothing he can do that's going to change that. Because he's still going to be 5'5", 5'7", still going to be 155 pounds, and he's still running the same. Like it's just a limited player, unfortunately, And I don't know how you create plays for him. At least a guy like Moore, you can see how you can create plays. Like that's a player. Those two, him and Tony, you can kind of argue with people about that. With him, I just don't really see it, to be honest.
Right. Like you just hit one time. I mean, I played NAIA football in college at 170, and I thought I was small. He's going to the NFL at 155. No, bro. I just don't see it happening. Unreal.
Ray, you had anything? No. I mean, this is what you were asking for earlier, right? So.
No, but Wilson, like the highlight reel started out with him knocked out in the end zone. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be some come back to like get up and he scored touchdowns, and then they just went into just straight. I hate everything about him, but I was like, Wilson, don't come to me. I got nothing.
Look, you literally asked these gentlemen for that energy earlier. They gave it to
me. Yeah, brought it.
Yeah, but they gave it. No.
Yeah, I guess my mature take on it is like, it was the end of the wide receivers, and I feel like we stopped after the first two that we named tonight. And that's the most generous I could be. Someone's gonna get fired messing with them other three. Outside of it being a day 3 thing, like someone's getting fired. Like, because my whole thing is I have no issue with the height thing. You better be freaking dynamic. They're not. They're not. They're just not. And like y'all said, people chasing the ghost of Tyreek Hill. Y'all looked the kid in his face and didn't know what it looked like. So why would I have faith that you could find it if you missed it the first time? Leave it alone. Like, leave it the hell alone. Leave it be. Like these dudes, they don't even got a chance to be Miko, let alone Ty. Like it's not happening. They're like literally not dynamic. You're that small, and there's no one getting shifted in space. After we got past Darden and Waddle, there's nobody winning the phone booth. You 5-0, 150 something. You can't get somebody up out your space. I don't like it at all. Like go run track. Cool, you can run in a straight line, but this ain't it. This is not it at all. Because again, like you're gonna ask
the Auburn kid will go before he will.
I have no issue with the Auburn kid going.
Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah, and
if you want a speed guy, go him. Yeah, he should. Yeah,
but he's a football player, like you said. Like he's a football player. Schwartz is a football player.
He got no highlights though. He got no highlights
that's true.
Scouts get paid.
That one.
Like, it's bad, man. And we could say the same thing for a lot of these positions. Folks finna get fired messing around with these people this year. Some people gonna come up. Some people about to set themselves back like 2 drafts. To be real honest, like leave the ghost of Tyreek Hill thing alone. Is one. Yeah. Dead it. Just dead it.
If you're not getting Waddle, just stop there. Just that.
Like what's it called? Some of them haven't had a whole shot at Ruggs last year. Ain't pulled a trigger. That's on you. Right. You had a whole opportunity. That's on you. And at least with that, I could possibly entertain that conversation. There you go with Waddle. I could possibly entertain it. But y'all, and shout out to y'all for seeing some of these mock drafts. That's absurd to have Tony Moore Atwell in day 2 conversations. Like that's not it.
Yeah, everybody's calling this draft like deep for receivers. But it's like, all right, it's not that deep though when you think about it. Like everybody's just chasing the Tyreek.
But like I think that's the thing, Drew, that like is kind of weird, right? I do think it's deep, but they're all pointed at the wrong things.
Right, yeah.
But like I think it's deep, but we're all looking at the little midget dudes, bro. They're not. That's not where you need to look. Like there's Terrence Marshalls walking around out there. You got Terrence Terry's walking around.
Right.
There's some really freaky things walking around here, and y'all want me to go looking for Tyreek Hill? Why?
Yeah. They're pushing the wrong type of receiver up into the draft.
Yeah, we got some 6'3", 6'4" dudes in this draft that move better than these little dudes in a slot. Right. And we busy, not us, but folks like, oh man, he could be Tyreek, but why? I could get a 6'4" one, but why? Like, I love Tyreek, but 6'3", 6'4", 6'2", some wiggle. So yeah. If I can get someone 3 times your size and they go in the same place and do what you do, your value is like -2. If they're more dynamic than you, they make it to the outside. Like that's the thing. Yeah, I'm trying to be nice, but yeah, I don't see it. Like people gotta chill. Like it's crazy. Like throw the Ty thing away, throw the Miko thing away. They there, leave it alone. If lightning strikes again, cool, we deal with it. But at the same time, all these people, when them dudes came out, wasn't nobody thinking about them.
Nope.
So how can I trust y'all to know what it looks like now? Y'all look Miko dead in his face, and he just stayed there. Andy Reid was like, sure, I'll take another one. Holy, just, I don't want that. Play that Georgia. I don't like that. Hey, come here, buddy.
Bro, let's try to do a stand-up act.
I'm sorry, but it's just crazy, and it's gonna happen with more positions. But thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We actually beat our time. My bad, Justin.
We gotta wrap up the receiver group. Go ahead, Justin. No, we're talking about in the last 2 weeks. Remember we were talking about how last week was what we got out of the 2 weeks of receivers. So this is the 3rd week of receivers, and we realized that the NFL is basically changing, and the all-purpose receivers are the ones that actually matter. So we're still talking about like week 1 was the bigger guys that can only do one thing, and then this week was these guys. So like the slot group is kind of a dying breed basically, whereas the NFL you want 3 receivers that can do all things. You know, so we talked about last week we talked about 5 receivers, and we kind of like loved all 5 of them. But all 5 of them can line up in each spot and win. Like, what was the thing you said earlier, Justin? You were saying how
it was about versatility. It might have not been this, but we were talking about like on defense, versatility is not that great if you don't do one thing elite or like one thing great. Like you have to be able to win your spot because defense is different. Like on offense, you can be a B grade at all three things, or a B grade at all three spots, or multiple things, and that's good enough to get you production. Like we see all these receivers come in without elite traits, without elite anything, and because they can be moved around and help you anywhere, they're going to produce. And so it's like this slot got like Rondo Moore, Tony, some of these guys that do those one little thing cool. That's not the same as like a Rashad Bateman who might look boring every single week, but because you can put him in any spot and move him around and he can catch the ball and do so many different things, that's more valuable than having the Rondo Moore athleticism at this point. I think, is that what you're kind of going after?
Yeah. Like you have to earn your way on the field. You have to have whatever gets you on the field, and then the other things come. But if you can't earn your way on the field, that speed means nothing. If you can't have that one skill that makes you valuable, then the rest of that stuff doesn't matter. And I think like just going over receivers, like that hit me like thinking about the conversations we had the last 3 weeks was, wow, that first group we were kind of down on them because they were a bunch of tall guys who all they could do was make contested catches, but they couldn't get open, they couldn't separate, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. And then this week we had the small guys who have great highlight tapes. Pretty much that's about all. And then we have last week's group when it was like we were just watching and everyone was just kind of like almost cheering for him. So I think that group of the Devontae Smith types, and you're like, and he wins outside, but he can win inside. And if you have 3 Devontae Smiths, you got a great offense. It's not like, well, where are we going to put the third one? Like that's different than. I mean, I just think that hit me big time looking at the NFL and how we watch players, because now even just trying to rank them later, it almost changes the way I'm going to look at some of these guys, because now I have to be higher on Bateman when the first week I was like, oh man, this guy's boring. But now I'm like, at least he's going to be on my team. Whereas some of these other guys are exciting.
They still catch the ball.
When the game starts, I'm like, oh, now he's going to stand next to me. So I think that's just something we can all think about moving forward. That's I apologize, Will, my bad.
All right. No, that's a great point. Did anybody have anything else you want to ask?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you again, Ray.
Check out cover 32.
Oh yeah,
thank you guys.
I want to tell everybody. I know we got Jordan got the YouTube up there, but just let everybody know in case they struggling with the eyesight. Let everybody know where to go.
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube at Cover 32, Instagram at Cover 32 Show, and Twitter at Cover 324. Unfortunately, Cover 32 was taken. So, but thank you guys so much for having us. This was a blast.
Now we definitely enjoyed it. Ray, look forward to next week. Well, the next episode to see where you rank these wonderful wide receivers. I have a feeling I know who's 1 and 2. With 3 through 5. But we'll see how that goes. But again, y'all, thank y'all so much.
5 is 2.
Better.
That's fair. At least you got places to start, right? So you got two positions that might be flexible. And even then, it could be like, I mean, maybe you could do 5A, B, and C. Who knows? 1, 2, 5A, 5B, and 5C. But y'all have a great evening. We enjoyed this 3rd episode. Look forward to the 4th. I don't know what position group is going to be for the 4th episode, but tweet us. Let Justin know, and we'll figure it out. You guys, just remember, we're giving you your say in it. If you don't choose, it's up to Justin, and I can't help you guys with what he picks next. That's your
corners.
See, here you go.
Yeah,
I want something else.
You can vote. You can vote, though. You can vote.
All right, hit him at Sports Ruckus, and we'll figure that out. Y'all have a great night.